Okay, maybe now I've got it. Don't know. I really don't know if I've got it or not. But having a little trouble with this telephone electronic thing. Doesn't take much for me to have trouble. But I've been wanting to do this show and tell for about 6 different times, 8 different times, but it always says that I have no space. I'm out in space. I'm spaced out, but I don't have no space. Let's see if I deleted some stuff now. I hope it's nothing important. But now I'm going to go here and I'm going to show you, because it's just a show and tell today. Nothing exciting. I just want to show you what I've been doing. Okay, so far it hasn't told me I'm out of space. Okay, so now, this is what I'm going to show you. All right, I got to move some of this junk. I got junk I got to move so I can push my camera farther back so that you can see what I'm doing. There we go. Now, this stack. This is what I want you to see. First of all, I've been working on some of my pocket prayer quilts. So we'll get them worked on. I'll probably work on them today. I think I counted these, and I think I've got 26 squares so far. 26 10 by 10 squares. So, but I want to show you some of them. Now this one here, now each one's different. I'm making a quilt, and each square is going to be so different. This one here has just got ruffled lace on it, and so I just stitched each row on, and then I went down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strips down of sewing to hold it, the lace where it belongs. That's going to be one square. Then here's a square I did that I put some buttons on. I put some buttons on that square. Okay, this here, this was, I had first started making a journal cover, but then I don't never finish anything I start. So I took my journal cover and cut it in 2 pieces. And so, gosh, it's still filming. Maybe I fixed it. And so I put that piece there with some extras on the side to make it a 10 by 10. And then here was the other half, because I cut that half in 2. But look at how pretty that makes for a quilt square. This quilt is going to be amazing. Y'all's going to be astonished when you see it. This one here, this was a piece of weaving that I did with yarn. I did some weaving, and it's just been stuck in someplace forever. And so I put fabric around, and then I put the weaving, and then I put over the top of that, I've got like a tulle that goes over the whole top. It's like a, I got that right here, yeah. This here stuff. And so I just put a piece of that over the whole top, and I think that looks pretty cool. Now this one, did I put the tulle over the top of this too? Oh yeah, I put the tulle over the top of this too. This is mostly like, there's Battenberg lace, another kind of lace, and there's some embroidery piece and a piece of fabric. I just put a bunch of stuff here, and then I put the tulle over the top of that. And then I did the stitching around like that. And then this one here is just some scraps, and I just kind of sewed around the scraps, leaving raw edges. This all has a raw edge. Now I've seen, somebody told me something about a crumb quilt, like crumbs of a cookie, crumb quilt, which is going to sort of look like this. When I get this one finished, I'm going to do a crumb quilt, but that doesn't have raw edges. And so, but it's basically the same as this, but no raw edges. I'm going to work on that one. This was another slash piece. It hasn't been washed yet, but you can see how beautiful it's going to be once it is washed. And then this one is all different laces, like vintage lace in here, vintage fabrics. All of this is vintage. And then, oh no, this one I didn't cover with the tulle. That's just the laces. Now this whole quilt, once it's put together, it's going to have a little bit of everything. Now this one's been washed. I think all the rest of these has been washed and dried. And so You can see how they fray really nice when after they're washed and dried. This one here, I think you watched me make this one, and on it I see there's a few places after it was washed and dried that it's like frayed a little bit too much, and so I'm going to go over these pieces and do a little more stitching around them to make them stay. So that's, I've learned, is a really good thing to do when you're doing something with raw edges, that you want to wash and dry it first before you actually put the quilt together. And so you'll see then if there's something that, is it frayed a little bit too much, then you have to I'll just go over the frayed edges with a zigzag stitch, and then that will hold things back together. And here, this one's just fabrics and a little bit of lace. This is going to be so pretty when it's put together. This one here is, I did the slashing or the chenilling on it, but this one here I did a little bit differently. I just used this one I started on a piece of flannel, and then I just added these pieces to the top of the flannel, and then and then I slashed them all, and you see the pink flannel through it. So pretty. This one here is done with, this one's been washed. This one is 2 doilies on there and just different pieces of fabric. All raw edges, just hold them down with a zigzag stitch. And then there's one that's got I went all the way around like a spiral after I pinned these on, and it's all frayed edges. And then once I washed it, once it was put in the washing machine, actually Papa washed it, I didn't wash it, then you see how the edges just fray, and I love that look. And then here's one that, here I got a piece of flannel on that one, and then it's got the doily and just bright colors. See, little tiny pieces, it all works. This one here is amazing because now this one's been washed and dried, but I see that my word, the word believe there, it didn't even fade. I stamped that on there with just stays on letter stamps and letter ink, and then there's some lace on there and stuff, but I was glad to see that does not wash off. So when I know that there's a few ladies that are making me a patch, they're going to send me a 10 by 10 patch, and then I'm going to take those patches that the ladies send me, and I'm going to make their name on a piece of muslin and sew it like on the corner or somewhere on the patch, that so I always know who made each patch. This one here is the slashing, and this one's been washed and dried. Look how pretty. I think that's pretty, but look at all the frayed. Now this one is heavier because there's layers of fabric in there, layers and layers of fabric. And then I stitched the straight stitching all down, and then snipped between each row of stitching, and then washed it and dried it, and that's what we got. I love this one. When this is all put together, there's going to be a little bit of everything. And look at this one here. That's been washed and dried. You can see on the edges they're frayed. And when I put this together, this is the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to put wrong sides together. I'm going to first put flannel on the back to make it a little heavier, and put wrong sides together, and then I'm going to stitch 1/4 of an inch stitching down this way. So then on each one of the seams, it'll poke up, it'll stick up, so the raw edges will still be there, if that makes any sense to you. But you'll see once I start putting it together. And look at this one. This one here, I've already doctored it up. This one frayed a lot in the washer and dryer because this here fabric is very vintage, the red and white gingham. And so a lot of that gingham come loose because it frayed so much. You see how pretty that is? It frayed so much in the washing machine. So once it was done, washed and dried, I went back over it with the zigzag stitch, and it's now put all together tight. This one here is so pretty. It's got a piece of actual Adia cloth that this was given to be my Erin, this piece, and I put that in there as just so pretty, just because it's there. And that's what I'm finding things around my house that I've just had this stuff, and like something like this, I don't know what I would have used it to. I've been hoarding it, but now I'm using it all on this quilt. And then here again is this one here. I just sewed with the straight lines across, and which is scraps. Now some of these I'm going to add more. I'm going to add some beads to them. I'm going to add buttons, and to get them even more activity in them before I sew on the flannel to the back. So I think I'm going to fix a place out by my, what I call the white table out there in my living room. And I'm going to be hand stitching. Oh, see, here's a piece come loose. And so I could even slow stitch those pieces that come loose like that. I can slow stitch them and get them tight on there again, and add buttons or some beads or maybe an applique. Something will go on top of these because I want this to be a very busy quilt. I want it to be a quilt that you never quit looking at, that it's like you just like my Christmas trees. When I put a Christmas tree up, I have so many different kind of decorations on it. Some people do really beautiful trees, and they're all done in blue and white. Well, my daughter did a white tree with only blue on it, and it was very pretty. But don't tell her I told you this, but I thought it looked a little boring. It was very pretty. Mine is like, gosh, everything is on that tree. It just looks like, I don't know, an elephant puked on it. I don't know. But I like a lot of stuff. And that's what I want in this quilt. I want just a little bit of everything. Like, look at this little house. I did go stitching around the house, but now I kind of wished I'd have put some batting underneath that, so when I stitched around it, it would be puffy. But if I do something else, another one that's got a image like that, I might do exactly that. And so then here, there was the word believe, and it washed and dried perfectly, and the edges are frayed. Now, you wouldn't have to make like a whole quilt like this. You can make a piece that is just the size for a journal cover, and that would be nice too. Or you could make put two of these together and make a tote. Put a big old handle on it, and you can have it a crossbody bag. You can do, and it's just so pretty, and oh, here's another one of the slashed ones, and look at there. This slashed one is I just put, I think that was just one layer, a couple layers, I guess, of different fabrics, but the whole top is patchwork, but then it's all slashed. So pretty. And then here is the one I made that one on a video too, with this centerpiece is embroidered. And so a lot of times we find a vintage embroidered piece, and maybe there's stains on it and stuff. When that happens, you don't mind taking it apart, and you can use those pieces and just add those scraps. Just lay them on there. Just lay them on there. And none of them have hemmings. They're all raw edges. And then this one here is all borrow stitched. I did not do this borrow stitching on this one. Somebody gave this to me. And then this piece is crocheted, and it's a hot pad that you put a pot of hot something on it. But I didn't want to put hot no nothing on it. I think it makes my quilt look hot. Erin Morrison made that for me. She made me a few different styles and colors, and I'm going to have them on my quilt. And then here is this one. See, I got 20 whatever I said made. Look, this got a little piece of sari silk on there. There's old Snoopy, my hero. And so any kind of fabrics that you have, they don't all have to be the same kind of fabrics. And then this in here, this was just a little piece that I had cut off of something else that I had just made a book cover or something, and then this was extra. I cut that off, and then now here it is on this quilt square. That's going to be really nice. When these start getting put together, they're going to be awesome. Okay, this one's not been washed yet either. This one I put this fabric is on upside down. I put the wrong side down, which I didn't realize that till I saw, but it still looks good. It still looks good. And then this here block piece right here is kind of large, and so something's definitely going to go here. So something, I even might have some, like here I have like even some burlap. I might put some, that would be too big, but something like that. There's going to go on in there. And then here, this one here has got a piece of trim here, like a twill, and then here I put just a small piece of cotton over the one that's there, and I went ahead and slashed just that piece on top of here, and I like that look too. It's just to slash the little piece. And then here's another one that I did slashing on. That's it? Okay, that's all one. But that's got a lot of layers. And this one's not been washed yet. Once I wash it, that is going to fray. But see, that one I put the white on the bottom and the white on the top. But once this gets washed, then it's not going to look so white on the top, because it's going to, all this stuff will get frayed. And there is a lot of layers in this one. A lot of layers. And so there's going to be a lot of fringing going on. After I took it out of the washer, after they come out of the washer and dryer, it took me a while to be able to pull off. I'm saving. Here, I pulled off all these strings that's in here. These all got pulled off, but I'm saving these because I'm going to use these in some flowers. And so I'm saving those. So I just save everything. What the heck? And so that's that. So that's how many I have so far. And I just love just going through them. These would be just neat to just sew them all on the edge and make a whole book and just keep turning the pages and turning the pages and turning the pages. But this I'm having fun with. And like I said, when I'm done, or did I say that about the crumb quilt? Yes. Oh, yes, I did. I'm going to start a crumb quilt after this one is finished, which I don't think this is going to take a long time to get done. I think I'm going to cut out my flannel backs today. I'm going to cut some of them 10 by 10 flannel backs. Once I get the flannel backs done, then there's some of these that aren't going to go any further, so I can put the backs on, and then I can start stitching them together. So, because I'm excited to get them stitched together so that I can see what it's going to look like, because I think it's going to look awesome. And so I just love my whole stack of quilt blocks. I just love them. Smells so good because it's washed and nice. And I'm going to finish these up. And I have had a few, these are my prayer quilts. I've had a few people that have explained an interest that they would like to have one. So I'm going to get them sent off. And, excuse me, I sold, I sold one of my, just a minute. I sold one of my cigar boxes. So that makes me have enough for postage. Just a minute here. I got a bad tickle. So I have postage money to be able to send these out because I don't charge for my prayer quilts. So if you think you would like a pocket prayer quilt, for one thing, I got a video where I was making these so you can see exactly what they are. And if you have a need for one, if you feel like you'd like to have one, then you just send me email. And my email is posted under most of my videos. Sometimes I forget to post it, but it's under most of my videos. And you send me an email and you say, I would definitely like to have one of your pocket prayer quilts, and I'll send you one. It'll come. See, this one's not quite finished. I got a tack in the middle. It's got to have a see, this one's tacked in the middle, and then it's got this here little tag that's with it, and then I have another little poem that goes with it. Now this one's kind of a big one, but I think I like the real small ones better. This one here is smaller because it's a pocket prayer quilt, but I don't know what size, and you don't get to pick. I'm sorry, you don't get to pick, because when I get ready to send you one, it'll be my choice, which whatever is on the next one on the stack, and it's going to go in the envelope. But anyhow, I've been having this little sore throat for the last couple of days, and but I don't have no fever or nothing, so it's not the COVID. It's just I talk too much or eat too much or what about my book? Oh, here. Okay, so now at the end of my videos, I always, let's see how much time we got there. Oh, we're doing good. We're doing good. Because it automatically goes to another video after 33 minutes or something like that. Oh, here, I'm going to read this one. So it's a little bit long, but I got enough time. I read from You Are Stronger Than You Know. Words of hope and encouragement for someone living with a chronic illness. So listen close. To all those of us, to all those of us strapped down by pain and the world's view us, to all those of us who have been pushed to the very fringes and beyond, so that they are nothing but dust, shot down in mid-flight, to be found too late, ragged of skin and broken. To all those of us whose illness isn't painted on the outside of their bodies, so that it is ignored, argued away, and misunderstood. To all those of us whose lives depend to the skin, to the flesh, to the pores, to the eyes, to the mind, to the senses, to the very cells, on the kindness of others or their non-kindness, on the giving of others or their not giving, on the seeing of others or their non-seeing, so that sometimes they barely believe that they are visible. To all those of us who are subject to the mood and moment of the other, those all of us whose flesh and nerves are painted raw on the outside of their bodies, and yet to the world their illness is invisible. invisible, denied, misunderstood, and mistreated. To all those of us whose voices are not heard, for they have no voice, who cannot say your name, who cannot say their own name, who have no speech, who have no words, and there are no words for this place. To all those of us whose hands used to brandish a sword, used to grasp a fountain pen, a paintbrush, and who would transform an empty canvas into a detailed story of shadow and light, delicacy and depth, mood and emotion, or who could lift a bow to a cello and make others cry, whose fingers would turn the stillness of those black and white keys into wild insanity of jazz, the thumping devotion of gospel, or the heavy weight of Beethoven, and whose hands now lie motionless, still by their sides, unable to grasp, unable to reach out, unable to shape, mold, create, unable to signal even, who once sang from the hilltops and who now lay pale because they know no sunshine. May the world turn around us. May the world turn around us. May the world turn around us somehow. That's the first time I read that one. You know, I just open the book and read whatever I open to. Sometimes it opens to the same one over and over, but this is the first time I read this, even to myself. This one is written by Wendy Stern. And that is to all those of us who have an illness that robs us and makes us unable. It might not make us disabled, but it makes us unable to do what we did years ago. And still in our minds, we feel like we should be able to do that. We should still be able to do that, but our feet won't allow us. Our knees won't allow us. Our inside illnesses won't allow us. So we are unable. Let's not say disabled because that sounds too much like the end. So let's talk about just unable and my hubster just come up with that word a couple days ago because I've been using a wheelchair lately and I just said, it just makes me feel like I'm disabled. He goes, no, you're not disabled. You're just unable to do something you could do when you were 21. So unable is not disabled. And so if you have a chair with wheels on it that helps you get around, by all means use that. If you have a walker that you can use to keep you from falling over, use that. Use your cane. If people don't understand that, well then people can just go play in the wind. I don't know. But there are so many people that just don't seem to understand. And those people, we pray for understanding. So I ask God to watch over you every step you take, every move you make. And I will see you on the very next video. God bless.